Hello, hello, hello. Hi, welcome. I am Sylvia Hayes, and you are watching Good News at Primetime. Today, we are going to talk about parenting. Yes, parenting. We all need to talk about parenting because a lot of people take parents for granted. Sometimes they take parenting for granted. And we need to talk about it and explore the different parenting and things that parents go through and all of that kind of stuff. Even grandparents. We need to talk about grandparents too and the things that they do to enhance the children's lives. But before we go into that, we're going to talk about good news. Okay, good news. As you know, some of you do not know, Grandparents' Day is coming up next month, September the 11th. That's the second Sunday in September. Every year, the second Sunday in September is Grandparents' Day. So be sure you honor the grandparents, okay? And some of you might say, I'm not a grandparent, but then, there's someone who, you might not be a grandparent, but you know of a grandparent. Honor all grandparents, not just yours, okay? And the children, if you have children, hey, let your mom know you appreciate them being a grandparent, okay? So we're going to do that. And also, we have done over 100 shows on Square Miles Media. Between me and two of my friends, no, we all friends. It's one big happy family. We've done over 100 shows on Square Miles Media. You guys got to click in, check out all the shows. We've done over 100. Can you believe that? Time goes so fast. So like, subscribe, and share the stories. You can always go back and look at those stories on Square. Well, you got to go to YouTube, okay? So go to YouTube and Square Miles Media and watch some of the shows. We have 3 different people who are doing shows. We've got over 100 now, so got to go check us out, okay? And also, good news, my book. I always have a problem with doing this. Power Thoughts, empowering you to be successful in life. This book, I did some research on it last night, just searching the web to see what's going on with it. And I got some stars. I got 5 stars. 2 people rated me a 5-star. So that's good. A 5-star for my book. So I'm happy about that. And then today, my husband went on the computer and first thing that came up was my book. Walmart has my book now. So you can go to Walmart and various places. Shoot, just Google the book, Power Thoughts by Sylvia Hayes, and you can see it, okay? Order your book, you got to. Or you can always go to AandKproductions.com, AandKproductions.com, which is Alive and Kicking Productions, okay? But AandKproductions.com and order the book. You won't regret it. This book has helped so many people, save so many lives. Okay, you will really enjoy this book. It's worth it. Okay. I know there was something else I was going to say. Oh, the power thought for today. Yeah, before I bring on my co-host, the power thought for today is you are your parents' bragging rights. Give them something to talk about. You are your parents' bragging rights. Give them something to talk about. So we're going to be talking about parenting today, and I'm going to bring on my co-host, Mr. Reginal, so he can help me with this discussion. Hi, Reggie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. What's up there, Miss Sylvia, and the whole audience out, the whole good news audience out here. I'm excited. Uh, Talking about Parenting Day. I've actually had an opportunity to see some parents in action. Just witnessed a softball game down here at East Point, and it's always good to see the family come out because it's the community, it's the people. It's the next generation that we're preparing, and it's good to see them out. And when you get the whole spectrum of the family, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. What people don't realize, parenting is the most important job that God has ever charged you with. That's a powerful job. God
Oh,
put
yeah.
you in charge of a life for you to mold and shape. And you are in charge. You are responsible for making that life correct, bringing it up right. You're going to do your teaching. Sometimes they're going to want to go astray, but it's your job to teach them the right way. And that's an important job. And people don't realize that sometimes. Sometimes they just take it for granted. I got a baby, got to take care of it. But God has put you in charge of a life, a human being, for you to mold and shape. When my kids were babies, I gave them back to God, christening.
Okay.
I christened them, giving them back to God, and then God left them in my hands for taking care of. So that's what I was doing, taking care of the vessels, because He put them in my hands.
Right. Well, that's a beautiful thing, when the Creator entrusts other living beings that gonna go on a long time after we are gone. That's the progression of life. We when you see the full spectrum, where you got your children, then they grow up to have children. Sometimes you're fortunate enough to see great grands. That's a second or third. That's a third generation. And when you can impart some knowledge, some wisdom, I think about I had the opportunity on my mother's side, my maternal grandparents were very instrumental in my life. Matter of fact, my mother almost died during childbirth, and she didn't see us for about 2 or 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. So my grandmother and the ladies around my godmother, a lot of her buddies and people at the church, they pretty much took care of us for a couple of months, and up until they passed away, I got a twin brother, so we were their babies.
Yeah.
They were always saying, "Where the twins? What are they doing?" So as I grew up, I always had a connection, back to my elders outside of my biological, elders.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
You said your godparents help take care of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well,
you know what? A lot of people take that term literally. I mean, it's just a title. They just take that title. Oh, I'm a godparent, and that's it. They don't do anything else. So being a godparent has responsibilities, and a lot of people don't realize that, or they don't even think twice about it. Only thing they know, I'm a godparent. I'm a godparent.
Right.
Okay, but you got to help out too.
Because I've got matter of fact, through those type of relationships, I've got god sisters, god brothers, extended family. Even before my mother passed, we had extended family, and a lot of them would come by. Even as this shows you, as she got older, they were there to make sure that her in life was still a good life. So when you have extended family, parenting creates all of that, because you have a sense of attachment and belonging. So as a male, especially, and we did this when with some dads on duty projects. A lot of times we especially if males go through divorces and things like that, the children have a tendency to go to mama. Everything goes over there. So some guys get a kind of a pass for a minute. But if you can, it's good to hang in there and stay in there, and follow your kids all the way out. Throughout them raising their kids. So as a male, and then even as a stepdad, I've got extended family by way of my stepson. That's my family. Grandkids and all that. So a lot of times, we get another opportunity to extend ourselves to a whole group of beautiful people, and parenting is a powerful it's a powerful tool.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And we don't realize that we parents are the first teachers of the child.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we actually teach the babies to be patient. Cause like when they're crying, they want that bottle. Okay, just hold on, hold on. Sometimes that baby hold on, but only for so long. They go so whining again for that bottle. But we're teaching
right.
them patience. Or when they want some cookies, hold on, let me just give me a minute. And they're
Mm,
waiting, to get those cookies, or waiting to get that food, or waiting to go to McDonald's. We're teaching them patience. If they want to go play, wait a minute, you got to do this or do that. We're teaching them,
right.
to have patience. So we
Well,
are the first parents. We're teaching them language, because like with my daughter, I wanted her to say "mama" first. I would
okay.
drill that baby, "mama, mama, mama." I was drilling her to say "mama" because I was determined that I was going to hear "mama" before I hear "daddy." But guess what she did? Dad, and he was there when she said it too.
Oh,
His
ah,
face just lit up. When she said "dad," but
wow, wow.
but
Well,
we're teaching language. You know,
yeah,
so
and that's a beautiful thing. You think about it. One of the problems in today's society, because you got automation and different other tools that replace the human factor of a parent. You can let them play with a game, do a video thing, and that breaks a detachment of the family interaction.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think it's coming back around to the point where parents are more involved. You know, believe it or not, and I have one aunt, and she would always tell us, I ain't gonna never get old. We call her Louise. I never call her auntie or anything like that. And matter of fact, I got in trouble. She was a substitute teacher, and I was at school, and they called me. She said, she told my grandmother, she said, he won't stop calling me Louise in the classroom because I was supposed to call her Miss Kane. That was her, her married name. But
Uh-huh.
I learned, but I learned so much from all my my people. My aunt, uh, I had a heavy female influence because my granddad had some male buddies, but they just didn't come around and hang around. But in my grandmother's circle and mother's circle, there was a lot of women. So you had a lot of good nurturing and all that type stuff. Plus they always held you accountable.
Yeah.
you know, uh, so and then my dad, as I got older, and connecting, it's always important for a male figure to be there as especially even with girls because girls need to know daddy
Mm-hmm.
as if daddy's not whipping you, beating you, and making you feel bad, then you don't need to look for that in a relationship. And then it's the same thing. You see your dad's behavior, his interaction with your mother and other people, and his mother and his family. So that builds and kind of dictate how you're going to perform. If your family uh, is is well, all families got some situations. No perfect family, but you can tell certain things about people, how they were raised, according to how their behavior is. Even though now, because of the internet and stuff like that, you can't. Back in the day, you used to tell if there was the teacher, what they call a PT kid. They knew. They said, okay, she's a preacher's daughter or son, because of how you behave. They ain't say no curse words. They was, kind of like you know, but you can't tell that today because everybody's getting influenced from other sources.
Okay, so you're saying from your knowledge and experience, a preacher kid was always a good kid.
Well, they had a back in my time period, they had a harder walk to walk, because I mean, but they had both parents, so it was hard for them to get in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most of the priest kids I knew, they were two parents. So the mama kept her in check, and the daddy kept her in check. So it was difficult. But even now, when they got loose, he said they got buck wild. Uh, they broke
Yeah.
some of those traditions. And yeah, everybody, is going to break the paradigm that the parents set up. You're going to buck the system. It's just natural. But they don't go too far away during prime years. Even if they get into some physical trouble, because I knew what he called a preacher kid that got in trouble. Well, he knew that his parents were good parents. He'll tell you. He's gone away now, but he led that lifestyle. He said, I wanted to be bad. He said, my daddy did everything he could possibly do to keep me straight and narrow. He said, my mama did everything she could possibly do to keep me on the straight and narrow. He said, my whole parenting circle, the people at school, the teachers, everybody. He said he chose to be a bad seed. He chose to be a bad seed. He said that seed just looked more interesting to me than the straight and narrow. And even before he passed away, him and his dad were together, but he had done so much damage to his body that he died before his mother and dad.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But
okay. The reason I asked you that because I know a lot of times I'm hearing preacher child is the worst one, and I had a classmate. She married a preacher, and she even said something about the preacher kid being bad. Her child was bad. She said, she mentioned how preacher kids are bad. She said hers was bad.
Well, it's just like a teacher's. Not all of them, but sometimes if in my neighborhood there were teachers that had their kids go to the elementary school and my junior high school and high school. Well, especially in elementary school, those were not. See, it wasn't like bad like today. See, today's bad is totally different than my bad when I was growing up. A teacher's kid or a preacher kid was just talking too much. That was it. Just they, are turning the homework assignment in late. A lot of these now today is totally different. Some of the things young people are doing today, the teachers, it's a different game. They bringing guns to school. We didn't have that. So you got a different temperament of people.
Yep, you do. So you mentioning guns. Let's talk about that. A lot of parents, that's part of parenting too, trying to protect their kids from at school. Mm-hmm. And with the shootings at school, a lot of parents are losing their kids and they're going through some trouble. Right. Mental problems with the loss of their kids, and some of them are, as a parent, they want to stop the violence in the school and kind of like protect other parents, because parents do network,
right.
And some of the parents are trying to stop our kids from getting killed. So those parents won't be suffering like they would, like they are suffering. Because like that, what's that, AK-15 or whatever that gun is, that automatic rifle?
Right.
Parents are out there now trying to stop that from being sold, taking it off the market if possible. So other parents won't lose their children because you don't expect to lose your child. You expect to die before your child, and for your child
Right,
to die so early, that's a painful thing.
right. Well, and I recently reached out to a friend. She lost her son uh, via gun violence, and being part of Victory Over Violence over the years, I met a lot of parents that lost their children due to violence early. I'm talking about young people from 14, to maybe 23 years old in that age bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a difficult thing for a parent to lose a child, through gun violence. Uh, I keep prayers out there because this young lady is dealing with anger. She's dealing with denial and unforgiveness because it's very difficult. A person can say, "Well, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget." I mean, over some simple things. You did. Uh, uh, you might have taken something or did something. Well, when you take somebody's life, it's a very difficult thing for a parent to forgive, especially if you know the other parent, because the other parents are holding on to their children because that's their baby. The ones,
Mm-hmm.
the perpetrators of the crimes, because some of these young people, they know each other, and the parents are caught up in a situation where now you got a son or a daughter that's dead, and then you got a son or a daughter that's possibly going to see life in prison, or possibly the electric chair or something like that. Death. So parents, we do all that we can to protect our kids, to educate our kids. Um, we see today is so much that's hidden our young people, and parents are. It's hard to be a one parent. I've now seen some ladies handle it, you know, where they had 2, 3 kids and they were holding things down, but they still need a circle of influence to help them raise those kids. You see
Mm-hmm.
ladies with strong uh, women's circles where they take care of the kids. She go to work, they babysitting, cut down expenses and things like that. Because if you look, sometimes uh, there was a rash of people leaving their kids in cars. Those mothers didn't want to do that.
Right.
Some of them were tired. Some of them was just exhausted, and they're in a position. Now, you imagine if you are in a position where you cause something to happen to your child, how much mental anguish that is on that particular parent. Okay, so it takes multiple people to help raise today's children. The same thing like back in the day. Like I said, my grandmother, her friends, my mother's friends, a lot of them took care of us those 2 to 3 months till my mom got so she could be a mother.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And it takes a, like they said, it takes a village to raise a child.
right?
And that village, it came in handy for you guys.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's the same thing with us. My aunt was keeping us while my mom worked, or my grandmother. Then we had neighbors who would watch over us, you know,
right.
so and keep us in line, and nobody had a problem in spanking us and correcting us.
Oh
Nobody had a problem in doing that.
yeah. Well, like you said, now I share this too. Now the roles of black women, even in not only raising black and brown babies, but having to go and see about our white babies. Uh, when you look at, I had a major conversation with a brother, and it goes around parenting. One of the reasons you got during certain years, especially from the 1930s all the way to maybe the 70s a lot of black women actually went into white households to help raise their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So those kids became a little bit more, we might say, liberal or empathetic uh, to the needs of someone else other than their family. There would be white young men and women that say, well, I was raised by, they might call her a nanny or whatever, but she was their link for growing up, you know. So the family gets outside of the biological family, you know. We have power and influence in all families, you know, and that's the power, especially mothers and fathers. You know, we put a situation out one time. We were talking about dads on duty and moms on a mission. Well, when you got a strong male figure, whether it's in the, not beating people and dominating, but if you got a strong male figure in the community, it builds a better, stronger community.
Yeah.
You know, there's discipline, there's order, there's respect for authority, you know, because people realize when daddy's there or any male figure is there, their behavior is different. You know, so it's important that males step up into the family circle more.
But have you ever noticed though if when there's two parents in the family, now they're gonna obey dad much more quicker, you know, than they would mom. Okay, they're gonna try mom, but then if they get hurt, who they gonna run to?
They coming to mom. Yeah.
Yeah. When they have a problem, who they gonna run to? Mama. No. So two parents is good.
Yeah. Whoa.
Two parents is good. And I know a lot of mothers, they be saying, why they obey him quicker? Because I had that problem too. I would tell my kids, y'all get ready to go to bed. 30, 40 minutes later, I go in the room, they in there jumping up and down in the bed. They play this word game with me. I said, didn't I tell y'all to go to bed? So you told us to get ready to go to bed. You didn't tell us to go to bed, you know? So then I had to tell them to go to bed. But if their father go in there and tell them, y'all get ready to go to bed, they'll put their clothes on, go to bed, go to sleep.
Well, that shows you young people recognize authority, okay? Not to say that, like in my household, my granddaddy, I don't think my granddaddy, he might have whooped me more than a couple of times. And my granddaddy didn't use a belt. So these was whoopings that I got when I was little, you know, but my granddaddy didn't have to physically discipline us, okay? The discipline, my mother and my grandmother, and we didn't get out of hand. And what I mean by that is they had nurtured us so good that a lot of times we didn't want to do nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? You know, today, you know, I didn't talk back to my grandma. My voice never got I don't think I ever, you know, kids yell at their parents today. I never went louder than my voice was like that. Never got above you know, a rash or a hard tone. Never.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah.
Man, look, if I thought about it, my mom probably slapping me upside the head. You know, if you open your mouth with a loud tone, wow. You know? So I was too scared. Look, I was too scared of you. Look, I had so much respect for my mom. 21 years old, I still wasn't using the word pregnancy. It was expected.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't say lie, telling a story. No, I had just that much respect. I guess my mom had that much fear in me. But she wasn't really a mean person.
No,
but she stood her ground.
Yeah,
and you didn't play with her.
And see, that just shows you when we talk about parenting. See, parenting goes outside of the room. Okay. Now, my mother, you know, now I'm not to say I've done some bad things, but while I was under her roof, and even when I would come back to visit, I would always be just like I was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't drink beer in the house. Uh, Man, as you know, as I come back and got older, even I remember I brought my when I got married, I had to show my mom the marriage license. She said, "Well, she ain't gonna be sleeping in here. You need to get her a hotel." You know, these are things that I already knew what time it was before I even got to my mom. But today, because of lax parenting skills, a lot of, not all of them, I see some beautiful young people, and you can tell they got great input from their mothers and dads and community. You know, I won't go with the narrative that says, you know, these families are going to hell in a handbasket. There are families that maintain discipline, that maintain the integrity of the family name and the family unit and all those things. But in some situations, there are because parents wanted to give kids everything. You know, they said, you know what? Kind of like my aunt, she said, well, you know what? They ain't gonna have to call me auntie or mama. They're gonna call me by my first name. Okay. A lot of slackness came into the family. Well, I'm not gonna whoop my kids. I'm gonna put them in time out. Okay. I'm not gonna put all these rules up when my kids go in the store. When we went in the store, I never went in the store unless I was buying something. You know, I don't remember going. I had a list. When I got to the matter of fact, we went in the store, but we stayed near the buggy. Only time we did something, if I went with one of my aunts or my mother, they would send me down the aisle to get something. I came right back. I wasn't exploring around the store, opening up candy, eating out of boxes. You know, you see all that in today's world, but we knew better. We were already groomed. When I went to somebody's house, you know, young people now, they'll come in the door and they'll be in your bedroom if you don't have no rules. Well, never if I came to somebody's front door, if they did not invite me in, I didn't come in because sometimes I would collect. My mom, we deliver bread, and if you didn't invite me in, Miss So and So or Mr. So and So, I didn't come in and walk around your house. So young people today, because nobody's teaching them those type skills, you know, it's some stuff. You know, old school mothers, you don't run in their house, and back in the day, you didn't sit in their sofa. They, you know, they had a sofa or something like. These were rules that were built in that they say, hey, when you come in my house, you're not gonna be just all over the place. And I think those parenting skills kept a lot of young people out of trouble. You look, some young people, they lock them up for stealing bubble gum. Eating a whole sandwich in the store. I've seen people eat. Man, that you can't make this up. I was in Virginia, and I remember I went shopping. I was about 22 years old. I went shopping with a young lady, and she ate a whole sandwich before she got to the counter. Now, I had never done nothing like that. I wouldn't even open it.
I've seen parents give their kids fruit and stuff to eat while they're shopping.
Look here, I ate a whole apple.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. I would never do something like that.
Oh.
Never, ever. And as far as teaching the kids, when you mentioned about coming in the house, now I was taught, not by my mother, but my cousin, you never walk in somebody's house without knocking. You
Whoa,
know,
okay.
and there are a lot of people that they'll come to your house and they just open the door and go in. But
Right.
my cousin taught me when I was a little girl, probably about 5 or 6 years old, and I remember that to this day. You never walk in somebody's house without knocking, because you
Right.
never know. You know,
Yeah.
open the door, you might get shot. You know, you
Well,
never can tell.
well, you know, they part of parenting is setting boundaries. Okay.
Mhm.
When you establish boundaries, how you treat people, how you the titles that you call people, Mr. So and so, Miss So and so. You know, there was a little I think he was about 8, 9 years old. He was calling grown women by their first name.
Mm.
Mary, come here. And plus he had a little attitude.
Oh,
Now,
really?
this little joker, now I could tell that, you knew that nobody was teaching him boundaries with older people.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't have to beat it into them, but you have to establish some type. There's a protocol how you treat your elders. Even the
Exactly.
conversation.
Yeah.
We didn't have all. People say, "Well, I talk to my kids about everything." Well, we didn't do that.
Right.
Okay. Now we talk about stuff on the news. In my household, we talk about politics and everything. But when it came down to the bills, all this type stuff, we didn't have to get into that. Okay. That was what we call grown folk conversation. Well,
Mm-hmm.
today, because of the stress of maybe single parents, the kids wear the same weight that the mama wear. The
Yeah.
kids already know the light's gonna be cut off on Friday.
Yeah. And that's an unfair burden to have on
Oh,
kids.
yes.
It's really unfair. But as far as respect and calling people, because I teach my children, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, Mr. Jones, Miss Carrie. You don't say Carrie or
Yeah.
Don. You don't do that. You say Mr. and Mrs. And like work, I take my grandson with me to work, right? And
Okay.
everybody knows him, and I teach him, to say yes, sir, and Mr. and Miss and all that. And they,
Right.
they love my grandson because he respects them. He talked to them with respect. He say miss and he say yes and yes, ma'am, and stuff like that. So that's important. And I know when I first became a grandparent, these titles, Grandma Sylvia, I'm going, no!
Ah,
No, that sounds too old.
yeah.
But now I embrace it, because I didn't want that thing. I didn't want that grandma title, even though I was older than a lot of people who became grandparents. But it was hard. But as far as the other people, the next generation, I want that respect. Miss
Right.
Sylvia, don't say Sylvia. If my grandchildren are old as you are, or just a little bit younger, it's Miss Sylvia, not Sylvia.
Right.
So, and I get offended if a young person actually called me by my first name, to be honest, because it's like
Okay.
I'm 65 years old. I need that respect, you know?
How they say, put a handle on that.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? Setting boundaries, and I don't remember my my mom, my grandmother, any of them telling me, don't, when we go in the grocery store, I don't never remember them saying this. Don't touch nothing, don't bother nothing, don't pick up nothing. We just knew that
Mm,
wasn't the right thing to do. There was today, and not to put them out like that, but if I saw bad behavior, it was usually a white child. A young
mm-hmm.
white child eating candy. They would go buck wild in the store, eating
Yes,
candy.
they
Uh,
will. I've seen some of that.
yeah,
And let
and the
my
mom.
child do that. If my child ever thought about
Oh,
doing it, I'd kill them right there on the spot.
oh, well,
You know, they
well,
wouldn't do that.
well, you ain't kill. Well, you know what? I will tell you how now, and I know black people pretty much kind of blended into that the timeout conversation. You know,
Uh-huh.
I saw a little girl, and I know she had to be 8 years old, and she was a little chubby little girl. She was reaching up top to get one of those honey buns, but she
Uh-huh.
knocked all the honey buns over, knocked all on the floor. And guess what? The first thing that came out of her mouth.
What?
Oh Lord! Now, even though she knocked all them honey buns over, I
Uh-huh.
knew she had been raised by some, spiritual parents. She said, "Oh Lord!" She picked them honey buns up and was sticking them honey buns up there. But I've seen kids that knock stuff over in the grocery store and they keep it moving. They keep
Yeah.
it moving. They don't have nobody to answer to. Now think about this: when these kids get older, they will have no respect for authority. These are the same kids we were talking earlier, throwing chicken bones in the middle of the road or the street. It's some folk when you came in. Let me just throw this out. When you came to their house, you knew they had kids. And some people, if you came to their house, you wouldn't even know they had kids. Because of how disciplined they were. The kids picked up stuff. The toys wasn't all over the place. Now, some kids, when they come in the house, they rule the house.
Mm.
You go in the living room and they got baby stuff all over the place. You got Gerbil bottles half open where the babies just done took over. Well, I've been in many houses that the babies knew where to eat at. They knew where to play at. They didn't have all them baby toys all over the living room, everywhere. And I remember this lady, I might have been down in Mississippi. Now, when I met her, she was about maybe 25, 26. She had about 3 kids, but she was a very disciplined woman. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, them babies, you didn't even know she had babies. And then one of them was crawling, and the other one was about 10 years old or something like that. 8, 9. But she put them babies on discipline. You didn't even know they was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But see, today, because parents not setting boundaries, you got kids staying up past midnight watching Netflix and won't let mama get the control. Now that just shows you
Uh-uh.
who's running that house.
Yeah, this is my house. When you get your
Yeah.
house, then you can control. But when my grandkids come up to the house, I have a little toy box for them, right? So they will play with their toys, but they know when it's time for them to go, they pick those toys up and put them back in that box.
But
I remember one time they were here and a couple of other little kids were playing. And when those kids got ready to go, my grandkids told them, pick those toys up and put them in the box.
right,
And these
okay.
little babies, tell them to pick those toys up. No, you can't leave those here and you finna go.
Well, you had established boundaries and discipline.
Yeah.
And that's all part of parenting. When your kids go to school, if you set boundaries at the home, it becomes easier for you to have a better relationships at school. When your kids don't have no boundaries, I saw some little kids in daycare. I'm talking about the 4 and 5 years old raising hell in the daycare. Now I already know what they're doing at home. That little baby, some babies are like, they already know they can't act up like that. But these are little babies in the daycare raised insane. Now, when they get to first grade, second grade, and all those elementary grades, if the parents hadn't established some form of discipline, respect of authority, and things like that, it's a nightmare for the teachers.
Yeah, it is. And you have to teach the kids self-discipline. You
Oh
have
yeah,
to, and respect for the elders.
right.
If you got to, because if you don't, it's gonna be a whole lot of trouble for them. And I taught that to my kids. The teacher would tell me how sweet my kids were. You know,
Ah,
so I never had a problem with that, with them, disrespecting the teacher. I never had a problem with them disrespecting me in the store or something like that. Like, I remember one time we were at a store, Payless shoe store. I was out there, and it was a lady, it was somebody had some stuff on the side they're selling, and one of them, they had an old regular bike. And my son wanted that bike. He said, Mama, can I have that bike? I'm going, no, you cannot. Please, please, can I have that bike? No, you cannot have the bike. Because the bike was old and raggedy. I didn't want him to have that bike. He got
okay.
in the car and silently cried. You know,
Wow.
he didn't do any temper tantrums or anything like that. And I felt so sorry for him. But I bet you
Wow.
one thing, Christmas, he got a bike.
Ah, okay. Well, see,
He
well,
got his
uh,
bike for Christmas though, but I've seen kids fall all out on the floor
oh
with those
yeah.
temper tantrums. No way. No
Well,
way.
I'm gonna share something. And this was an old deacon at a church, and we would, I don't know how the conversation got into raising children.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, they said, well, when's the best time he broke it. This is the deacon. He said, when's the best time to whoop a child's behind? When you know it's time to whoop a child's behind. He said, now, I don't care how old, some people think it's cute if the baby hit them back. Oh, is that cute? Little Johnny just smacked the crap out of me. Oh, knock your glasses off or something like that. But this guy, he said when a baby, usually around 2 years old, they start getting some type of recognition, as early as 2, usually between 2 and 3. Well, if a baby knows right from wrong, you say, well, little Johnny, don't do that. Okay? And that baby, after hearing your statement of not doing that, he's going to formulate stuff in his head. Okay? Now, if that baby looks at you like the baby, he looks at you like because it's a look that that baby understands what you just said. Now, I'm not telling you got to break that baby's hand, throw the baby against the wall, but that baby needs to know that what you just said, and if that baby doesn't do that, it comes with repercussions. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, punishment doesn't have to be hard, but it has to be done. You can tap them on the hand, but if that baby, you tap the baby on the hand and the baby tap you back, you're going to have some problems. You will have some problems. Some people think it's cute. Oh, my little baby, guess what he just said? He just said MF. Okay. Now, if you're not watching that little so baby mouth out with some, you ain't saying soap or nothing like that, but that baby picked that up and developed that and saying that around you because that baby has no respect at 3, 4 years old. And you done groom a child that's going to be a problem. So that's why discipline and setting boundaries is important at an early age. And see, sometimes the family circle, I've seen some, and they was in their 30s, but all of them was getting a kick out of this little baby saying bad words. And it's all cute. Little baby was saying MF, GD, all kind of stuff. They put the little baby on TikTok. Now that's poor parenting.
Look, my kids are full grown with their own kids, and they don't curse in front of me.
Yeah.
So it's like, no way. It ain't cute at all.
No.
So we have to teach our kids, the right and wrong. When they do stuff like that, you teach them right then and there. And discipline for a little bit of child is not as difficult. It's more psychological. Because I've seen times I tell my kids to do something and they won't do it. And I said, didn't I tell y'all do this and this? If they still act up, I start counting. 1, 2, they take off. Start doing what I told them to do. And sometimes I wonder, I'm going, what do they think going to happen when I finish counting? Because I have no idea myself. But I start counting, they start moving. And if I put them in the corner,
right,
that's the worst thing you could do for a child. Put them in the corner. They start crying and boo-hooing like you just beat them to death. So
But
some of it is psychological, but you got to get it in
oh
there.
yeah, you got to set those boundaries. You got to establish discipline. Matter of fact, like I said, I don't remember my granddaddy whooping me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now that just shows you, evidently it was something in my mindset at an early age, 4 or 5 years old, that said, if that man says something, you need to do what he said. Okay.
Yeah.
My grandmother, if she said something, you need to do what she said. My mother, all the adult figures. So when I went to school, it wasn't hard for me not to get into a disciplinary problem. You know,
Right.
uh, man, I'm gonna tell you, share this with you. Matter of fact, I had a great aunt who was my grandmother's mother. Because people said, well, it's gonna be hard for women to raise men, boys. Well, she couldn't wait. You know how I think he said at the end of the day, he says something about I couldn't wait. You know, some people are waiting on you to act up. Well, she was in charge of any of the male children that acted up, and she was known for. She had two sons, and one of them got, wanted to, be a bull. She
Mm-hmm.
had the other son and her daughter tie him to a tree, and she threw bricks at him till the police came. Bricks. Now,
What?
yeah, now that was her legacy. Now she ain't never had to do that with me, but or my brother. But just like if you weren't gonna take your medicine, you're gonna raise up. She was that we knew. Matter of fact, we were probably more afraid of her than my granddaddy. And see, my
Really?
granddaddy, yeah, I mean, and I never had to go to her. Never. You know, uh, my twin brother wouldn't take medicine. Man, she put her foot over his neck. I don't even know how she got it. But he swallowed them pills. She was that type of woman. Now,
Bad.
now,
Yeah.
and,
I've
and,
never had to be disciplined by my grandparents either. But you know what? My grandfather has saved us from getting whippings. My
okay,
grandfather and my uncles.
okay,
Like my mom be ready to whip us. She be angry about something. And I've seen one time when one of I don't remember if it was my uncle or my grandfather, but they were holding my mom to keep her
okay.
from whipping us. You
Well,
know, and she started crying. You
oh,
know, I kind of felt sorry for her, but then I was glad I wasn't getting a whipping at the same time.
well, well,
But
well,
grandparents, they are that cushion.
oh yeah, yeah,
Because sometimes the parents are like too hard.
yeah.
And then the grandparents, they've been through it. They know how
Well,
to do it better.
well, and it's a part of parenting too. Just like the pecking order. And this is true if you got a single parent or two parents. Usually, the oldest one, there's a little bit more discipline enforced. Because you child today, people childproof the house. They get everything ready for that first child.
Mm-hmm.
Junior's coming. We got to get tight. Yada yada yada. We got to lay down some rules. You learning too because you don't know what everything's doing. But when that second child comes, who is usually the middle child, well, that child right there, because you're kind of tired, especially if they close together, usually 2 to 3 years apart, the parents are pretty much tired. And they know that certain things are not going to kill the baby. Okay? So the middle child gets away with a lot more stuff. And then it might be 2 to 3 more years before they have a third child who becomes the baby child. Now the baby child, because now the older child is experiencing different things. So the oldest child, you already know, is getting away from you. And the middle child is already gotten away from you. So when the new child, the baby child, there's a tendency, especially amongst women, to hold on to that baby child and get that baby child everything. Okay?
Yeah, well, now I got to correct you on that one. Now, my two kids, they were kind of close together. And
Okay.
I wasn't tired for one. The first one didn't make me tired, and definitely wasn't tired with the second one. I was on both of them like white on rice,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
and one didn't overdo me than the other one, didn't tax me. But now with my mom, it was five of us. The
Okay.
baby, she did get away with a little bit
A
more
lot of stuff.
than the rest of us. And we used to tell my mom, why don't you whip her? Why don't you whip her?
Yeah.
But by that time, my mom has learned whipping is not, you don't whip a child for everything. But
Right.
we didn't see it that way. We saw we got a whipping. We felt that she needed a whipping, so she needed a whipping,
Right.
But you learn, because parenting is a trial and error thing.
True.
You make a lot of mistakes. One child, what works for one child may not work for the other.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
Oh.
everybody's growing together.
Well, I got to throw this in. Now the traditional families, today you don't see people with more than 5 kids. Okay. But
Really?
well, you don't see a lot of people with more than 5 kids.
Well, I got 2 relatives right now. One got 12, and the other one I think got 7.
Well, y'all from Mississippi. Y'all producing that big rate.
Well, they live in Chicago.
But
roots, Mississippi roots.
Okay. Well, a lot of people, not having double-digit babies, and when you got double-digit babies, you got babies that are in different groups. You got the older ones. In some instances, they 20 years older than the baby, or more. And that's an interesting thing, because now the parents, if they together or if it's a single mother, you got other people to discipline the younger ones coming up. So the pecking order becomes an incredible thing. There are some people. I think my ex-wife. It was 15 of them. That was a litter. It was a bunch of them. But like you could see different patterns, because the older ones had established ground rules before they got there. Who got the most food? Who did this? Who cleaned up everything? The younger ones, because they knew they were letting them get away with stuff. So the older ones used the younger ones to clean up, pick up, and do all kind of stuff. So there's a pecking order in the family structure. You probably see it. If you're the oldest, you probably dictate what happens down below you. If you're in the middle, you got certain ground rules.
No, I didn't have to do that because I was the oldest, and I still had to do the work. So my sister and I, we did the cooking and the cleaning, and the others they did some, but we had the big stuff.
It's too late now, but you just think about how easy you could have had it if you had known this.
Yeah.
You could have, yes.
Yeah, we could have. But back to just raising kids, doing the thing, we are advisors for our children, helping to give them advice, even after they get grown. As a parent, we're still advising kids. Trying to teach them the right from the wrong.
Yeah.
We teach them about love and sharing and caring. We give them self-confidence as a parent, because the kid might think low of himself, but the parents, yes, you can do it. And they're always supporting those kids. They're always, one of the things I tell the kids, you are your parents' bragging rights. Give them something to talk about. And so, when you do stuff good, parents go make you shine. They're gonna put you out there that spotlight, and then you're gonna be grinning from ear to ear. Mama making me feel good because she's talking about how great I am. Because I remember when my son was playing football, he was running down the thing and he tackled this guy just before he hit the field, the goal line. I'm gonna say yes, that was my son that did that. That was my son. And they said, what about the other kids? I'm going, they did good too, but that was my son that did that. So I was proud of my son and always lifted him up when he's doing
Right.
stuff. So you have to do that because it will motivate them to do more because they love those praises and they love pleasing their parents. So if you don't always down your children, they would do good, because when you say you stupid, you never no good, you just like your daddy, you ain't gonna be worth anything. Those are bad things. Those are bad seeds you're planting in that child, and they're gonna start living up to your expectation. So you cannot do that. You cannot put those bad seeds in there. So as a parent, you have to always lift your child up, say you can do it. Even when the child say, I can't do it, I tried. You have to tell them, don't say I can't do it, say I haven't done it yet. That's one of my power thoughts too. Don't never say I can't do it, but I haven't done it yet. But you have to do that with your children to make them better. And because sometimes, even when they're in school, sometimes they want to drop out or not go to school and stuff like that. You have to influence them, force them sometimes to do that, because it's for their better good. Right now, they're thinking about today. They're not thinking about tomorrow. So you got to enforce this education. Make it your best. Do your best. Be prepared for life. You got to prepare for life, not tomorrow. You got to prepare for buying a house, not buying some candy. You got to prepare your life. And as a parent, we have to do that. Even when they're 19 and 20 years old and 25, we still have to instill stuff in our children to make them do better. Because at 30 years old, I thought I knew everything. And found out later, I don't. I look back and say, I thought I knew it, but I was wrong. So kids still don't know, and you still got to teach them. So that is so important to do that for your kids and teach them safety and self-defense. Because you still have a lot of adults who want to prey upon the kids. You got to teach them that. Do it respectfully. Respectfully. If especially when people want to touch you and stuff like that, you got to teach them about that. How to do that. How not to give your information to people. We're still teaching our children how to do it. That's part of the parenting. Always teaching. And parents, they're role models, and then the grandparents are even role models. So the grandparents sometimes have to teach their children how to be parents.
Yeah.
So sometimes the grandparents actually have to raise the children, because their children don't know how to do it, or they all out of whack and can't do it. So grandparenting is still important. We can't neglect the grandparents. We can't just set them aside, because even though some grandparents say, I don't raise my children, now you got to raise yours.
I'm done.
A lot of parents do that, but me, I might think that. I ain't gonna know. No, because I want to be involved in their lives. I want to influence them and teach them the right way, because sometimes the parents don't always know.
True.
The grandparents can get in there and plant these little seeds to make the child grow. So grandparents are very important in these children's lives. On top of that, they're the cushions. Because have you ever seen a child go tell the grandparents on the parents?
Oh, yeah.
Grandma, mama did this and this and that, So grandparents are important. So you got to, uplift the grandparents too, and don't say they old and feeble, because they have knowledge and wisdom. They got just as much knowledge over you as they did, when you were 2 years old or when you were 15. They still got that same amount, the same number of years of knowledge over you. So they can see stuff in the future. They can see what a child is going to, where he's going to, without, you have to tell them, because they know.
Right.
They already know. Yep. So parenting is so it's so important. I mean, the word is not important. I can't even think of the word for parenting, but
it's needed. all of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is, and we can't take it for granted. I know a lot of people say, well, my mom always getting in the way, but mom, when she's trying to give you this advice, sometimes they see stuff that you don't see. Like when your boyfriend, you think your boyfriend is loving you and he might talk to you in a certain way, and your mom see that, they might say, oh, he's going to be an abuser. She don't need him. He's no good. But all you seeing is love. But mom can see it. Sometimes dad can see this. Dad can see what this dude is like. I don't like him, and later on you might see why. But right then and there, mom is you stepping out of your place. But sometimes you gotta let the kid bump their own heads.
Yeah.
Sometimes
but it's a part of parenting to try to help them so they don't have that many knots on their head. If you can do anything to help your children, your offspring have a better life, we'll do it as a parent.
Yeah, and that's what we try to do. We try to teach them, because we want our children to be better than us. We want them to make more money than us. We want them to be smarter than us. We want them to have more than us so they can take care of us when we get old. Yeah, and you got to teach your kids respect. Okay, respect for you. You don't let them just talk to you any kind of way without you calling them on it. Because if you don't call them on it, they're gonna continue to do that, and then they may end up being abusive to you because they feel like you're old and feverish, and they won't respect you. So you got to teach them to have that respect for you at all times. That is so important because I've known for people to be abusive to their parents. Take their money, treat them in a kind of way, put them in the old folks' home and don't go see about them and all that kind of stuff. So you can't abuse your parents. And people, if you're doing that to your parents, just remember one day you're going to be old and feverish and your kids going to do you the same way. You are teaching your children how to treat you. So if you have kids and you're treating your parents bad, you're teaching your children how to treat you. So don't be surprised if that happens to you. You got to get on the good foot. You got to get on the good foot. But you know what? It's time for us to go now.
Okay, yes.
It is time for us. So what is your comments? Conclusion?
Be the best parent you can possibly be. Continue to advise, educate, train, and empower our young people, your offspring, our future seed.
Yeah, and I'm just going to remind you, September the 11th, second Sunday in September, Grandparents' Day. Okay, we done had our Mother's Day, we done had our Father's Day, and we done had our Children's Day. Now it's Grandparents' Day. The root, the grandparents are the foundation. Okay, just remember how everybody go to grandma's house and cook dinner, eat dinner, and all that kind of stuff. How grandma was there when you were sick. It's Grandparents' Day. So be sure you honor your grandparents. Be sure you take this parenting thing serious and know that what you say to your child, they takes it in. So if you call your child stupid, they're going to take that in, okay? And you're hurting them when you do that. So you don't want to hurt your children. You want to uplift them. You want to empower them to be the best that they can be. Parenting is the most serious job that God has ever charged you with. Take it for serious and just do your best with it, okay? So until then, we're going to say goodbye. I am Sylvia Hayes. You have been watching Good News at Primetime, and we're going to see you next week. Have a good one.